The sound in the gym tightens before anyone notices why. A sharp exhale, the faint squeak of canvas under shifting feet, the slow creak of old ropes settling back into place. No bell jinks, no round is called, but something has already begun. Mike Tyson stands inside the ring, slightly off center, gloves hanging low, shoulders relaxed. His head is angled forward just enough to shorten his silhouette. His breathing is steady, almost too steady for the moment. Around him, the gym has fallen into an unnatural quiet, kind that only comes when men sense that a situation has narrowed down 2 seconds. Someone outside the ring adjusts their stance. Another stops mid. No one speaks. Tyson lifts his eyes and looks directly at the man across from him. And then he says it. I'll only throw one punch. Not loud, not dramatic, almost conversational. The words don't land as a threat. They land as a condition. New York, mid-1980s, a working gym, not a showcase. The kind of place where fighters come to sharpen edges, not build reputations. Fluorescent lights buzz faintly overhead. The air smells of sweat, leather, and old disinfectant. The walls are scuffed from decades of shoulders brushing past them. Nothing here is polished. Tyson is already known by this point. Not a champion yet, but far beyond anonymous. Sparring partners are chosen carefully now. Not because he's dangerous, everyone here is dangerous, but because his timing disrupts routines. He breaks patterns. The man across from him tonight is bigger, noticeably so. Taller, heavier through the torso, long arms hanging loose at his sides. He's fought enough rounds to trust his durability. He carries himself like someone who has learned that size buys patience. To him, Tyson's words sound like arrogance. One punch. A few people exchange quick glances, not smiles, calculations. Anyone who's been around long enough knows that when a fighter limits himself verbally, it's rarely about confidence. It's about structure. The opponent shifts his weight and raises his guard halfway. He doesn't rush. He doesn't laugh. He just studies Tyson the way larger men often study smaller ones, assuming time is on their side. The trainer on the apron clears his throat and reminds them to keep it controlled. No one responds. Tyson doesn't move first. That's what unsettles the room. He stays planted, knees soft, weight balanced. His gloves remain low, not careless but economical. His head barely sways just enough to stay alive in the pocket. He looks smaller than he is because he wants to. The opponent takes the initiative. A jab, light, testing, thrown more to claim space than to land. Tyson shifts his head an inch. The punch misses cleanly, cutting air. Another jab, another minimal adjustment. The larger man begins to feel comfortable. The lack of immediate retaliation reinforces his belief that control belongs to him. He circles slightly, shoulders loose, confidence growing in the silence. Tyson tracks him without turning his feet. This isn't patience. It's containment. The third punch comes harder, a straight right, shoulders turning, weight committed. The canvas gives a dull response under the opponent's foot as he drives forward. Tyson slips inside. It's not a dramatic evasion. No wide motion. His head simply isn't where the punch expects it to be. The right hand passes over his shoulder, close enough to feel heat, far enough to mean nothing. In that moment, distance collapses. Tyson steps forward once. Short, precise. The kind of step that doesn't look like movement until it's already too late to react to it. His lead foot plants inside the opponent's base, quietly stealing balance. The opponent realizes it late. He tries to pull back to reestablish range, but his arms are too long for this space. His instincts betray him. Instead of retreating fully, he braces, preparing to absorb an answer. Tyson doesn't rush. He doesn't throw yet. This is the part most people miss. The pause inside the pressure. The moment where a fighter allows the other man to commit to the wrong idea. The opponent tightens his guard and leans slightly forward, expecting combinations, volume, chaos. Tyson gives him none of it. He adjusts his feet by inches. His shoulders settle. His chin tucks just enough. The entire gym seems to lean forward with him, even if no one moves. One punch. The opponent shifts his weight to throw back. That shift is the opening. Tyson fires. There is no wind up. The punch travels the shortest possible path from intention to impact, a compact, violent line through space. His hips rotate just enough. His shoulder snaps forward. The glove connects before the opponent's brain finishes processing that it's happening. The sound is wrong. Not a crack, not a slap. A dull, heavy thud, the sound of structure being interrupted. The opponent's head snaps slightly to the side, not dramatically, but decisively. His legs respond half a beat too late. The message arrives before the body is ready to receive it. Tyson does not follow up. He doesn't need to. The opponent stumbles backward, one step, then another, reaching instinctively for the ropes. His gloves rise too late, not to defend, but to stabilize himself. His expression shifts. Not pain, not fear, confusion. A quiet, internal scramble to understand how something so small could arrive with such authority. The trainer steps in immediately, not to protect Tyson, to stop the moment from becoming something else. Silence spreads outward from the ring. No one reacts the way crowds do. There is no cheer, no gasp, just a collective recalibration. The hierarchy of the room has shifted, and everyone feels it at the same time. The opponent nods once, short and stiff, acknowledging something he hadn't planned to learn today. He doesn't argue. He doesn't speak. He climbs through the ropes carefully and walks away without looking back. Tyson lowers his hands. His breathing never changed. He turns toward his corner, accepts a towel, wipes his face. Someone says something low to him. He listens. He nods. That's all. The gym slowly resumes its rhythm. Gloves hit bags again. Feet move. Conversations restart, but quieter than before. The space has absorbed the lesson. One punch. Not a promise. A boundary. And everyone there understands now. The power wasn't in the punch itself, but in the certainty behind it. The sound returns first. Gloves strike the bag again. Ropes creak under steady weight. The gym breathes back into motion. But nothing inside it is exactly the same as it was minutes earlier. The man who took the punch remains outside the ring for a few seconds, leaning against the corner post, as if reassembling himself before allowing his body to move on. He doesn't look hurt. He doesn't look humiliated. He looks recalibrated, the kind of state that only happens when a deep assumption is dismantled without warning. He looks down at the floor, then at his hands. There is no anger in them, only silence. Mike Tyson, meanwhile, is no longer the center of attention, and that is intentional. He blends back into the background rhythm of the gym as if nothing extraordinary has occurred. No pacing, no commentary, no lingering gaze toward the man he just stopped with a single strike. He sits on the edge of the ring, elbows resting lightly on his knees, breathing slow, and even a towel hangs around his neck. Sweat beads on his shoulders, but his pulse has already settled. To anyone who didn't witness the moment, he could pass for another fighter between rounds. That, more than the punch itself, unsettles the room. The opponent eventually straightens up. He adjusts his mouthpiece, then removes it entirely, holding it loosely in one hand. Someone nearby asks if he's fine. He nods once, a short nod, enough to end the question. He doesn't return to the ring. Not because he can't, but because he understands something now. The exchange wasn't about endurance, or combinations, or heart. It was about a line he didn't realize he had crossed. Around the gym, people resume training, but their movements carry a different precision. Fighters tighten their guards. Trainers speak more quietly. No one references what happened directly. They don't need to. Moments like this don't become stories because they're loud. They become stories because they reorganize behavior. Tyson finishes wiping his face and stands. He moves with the same economy he always does. No wasted steps, no extra gestures. He rewraps one glove, tighter, testing the fit with his teeth, then pulls the other on. Someone asks if he wants another round. He nods. The session continues. What makes the moment linger isn't the punch. It's the promise that preceded it. I'll only throw one punch. In a gym full of men who trade in volume combinations, rounds, wars, limiting yourself verbally sounds like arrogance. But Tyson's statement wasn't about bravado. It was about compression. He wasn't offering less. He was removing variables. By saying it out loud, he forced everything into a narrow corridor. One decision, one opening, one outcome. No room for interpretation. No room for escape. The opponent heard confidence. The room heard certainty, and certainty, when paired with timing, doesn't need repetition. Later that evening, after the gym empties and the bags stop swinging, the moment still hangs in the air like dust that hasn't settled. Fighters leave in small groups. Doors close. Lights flicker off, one by one. The man who challenged Tyson walks out alone. He doesn't replay the punch in his head the way people imagine. He doesn't dramatize it. He doesn't inflate it into something it wasn't. What stays with him is the pause before it, the instant where he thought he had time. That's the part that doesn't let go. He had size. He had experience. What he didn't have was control over the moment when everything converged. Inside the ring, power is often misunderstood. People talk about force, about damage, about intimidation. But the fighters who last, the ones whose presence reshapes rooms, understand something quieter. Power is the ability to decide when something ends. Not loudly, not repeatedly, but cleanly. Mike Tyson didn't win that moment by throwing harder than anyone else in the gym could have thrown. He won it by removing every unnecessary option until only one outcome remained. One punch, one decision, one shift in hierarchy. Years later, people would try to explain Tyson with mythology, with rage, with chaos, with destruction. But moments like this resist exaggeration because they don't rely on it. There was no crowd, no cameras, no belt on the line, just a statement made calmly and honored exactly as spoken. That's what made it permanent. In that gym, on that day, everyone learned the same lesson, whether they were in the ring or not. Noise invites debate. Volume invites resistance. But certainty, real certainty, doesn't argue. E arrives.